so I used 3/4 of this bag to go into here. This is 15 pounds of seed. Still has a little bit of moisture to it, but I don't see any clumps, and even if there is a clump, it's easy to break down and they dry up, so you can see not really clumping. I don't think it's gonna really stick. A little bit maybe towards the end, but I think it's gonna be fine. All right, let's fill up the new Scott's Elite spreader, or seed spreader like the guy at Ace Hardware said, and let's get going. It's time to put the seed down. This is day 5 or 6. I'm gonna say day 6. We put this down on Sunday. I don't know if you count like the day that you put it down, but we'll say 5 to 6 days, and we've got germination. Looking really good. I've got a green haze across the yard. Of course, this is the area that the flooding water was washing down. So I'm actually happy to see grass germinating here and not just bare dirt. So I think the slit seeding worked. It buried it. It got it good enough so that the rain actually kind of washed over and germinated where it was. I'm sure there was a little bit of seed loss. I'm seeing some areas where I'm not seeing enough germination, and I don't know if the seed was washed away or those areas just need a little bit more time. We haven't had too much sunlight because that's what we've had. This is nothing but rainy weather since the day, or the very next day that I put this grass seed down. And so I don't know. I think before I try to put more seed down, I'm gonna wait until we have a good sunny day, which is not gonna come until Monday or Tuesday, because it's still raining right now. It's just not raining so bad that I can't stay out here. yeah, I'm gonna wait for a good sunny day and see if that really sparks it. And we're gonna put out some starter fertilizer. Let's see what we got. On the side. Yep, that's coming up. That looks good. So the side here is established fescue. It's got some patches that needs to fill in. I've thrown a bunch of seed out here, so hopefully in the next week it'll be okay. My backyard has way less germination than the front yard, and it's because of this slope. I did do the slit seeding back here. I noticed that when I was doing the slit seeder, it wasn't able to make as deep of a groove than it was in the front yard. And I believe that's because of it being downhill, and maybe parts of it that's not exactly level. It's as level as I'm cared to get it. I've done a full renovation on this and a couple years back, but there's really no like holes or divots. It's just, you know, wavy. But you can see, like, from the weather, the hurricane weather that came in, it's caused these little ripples in the soil coming down, where it's washed away all the thatch and dead grass clippings that have been from the top, and then caused that to kind of come downhill, which I wanted to keep because I thought, like, okay, there's going to be grass seed catchers, you know, and maybe it did, because over there you can see there's like a brown strip that goes up. I've decided to take this rake and kind of rake up and break up these ripples that have come down the hill, and I'm uncovering some of that grass seed. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I don't have any more heavy rain. The hurricane's pretty much done for my area, so I'm gonna finish raking up the rest of this yard and hopefully get rid of the ripples. So let me finish that and I'll be right back. I've only done a couple rows and I'm already extremely worn out, and I've talked myself into putting out more seed in the backyard. I'm uncovering a little bit of spots where germination's coming up, but not enough. So, but you can see all of this, where the ripples are still at. This side looks so much better, so much more level. And by the way, when I'm raking from the bottom up, because all that stuff that's coming down, like nutrient wise, everything that's washed down, I'm hoping to kind of bring all that back up to the top and spread it out more evenly. You know, all that malorganite and everything, all the dark material, whatever is left, which I would think that it's all melted, especially after all that rain, but it should be in all the material that I'm raking up at the top, because when I get to the top of the hill, I've got a pretty big mound of soil and material. So I'm hoping all of that is taking all the nutrients back up to the top and evenly distributing it. But you can tell it looks so much better just raking it. So hopefully I've got enough energy to complete this. Alright, I'm gonna have to apologize. I'm really out of breath now. I just got done raking the entire backyard with that. So, again, every single time I want to do something, I train. Alright, hopefully I was gonna say hopefully he's... Oh my god! Maybe he's done with his horn? Okay. So, it's raining again. It's just a light rain. And we're done with the heavy rain.
if it wasn't raining, I was going to put out more seed, but I'm not going to do that while it's raining. I'll wait till tomorrow probably, but I definitely wanted to get all those ripples out, so I have de-rippled the yard. Looks a lot better, looks a lot more level. Actually looks better now than before I put out the seed. But yeah, all that nutrients that possibly washed down to the bottom of the hill is now back up to the top and evenly distributed. Looks pretty good. So let's hope that I've uncovered a lot of the grass seed that have germinated. I was afraid that the seed was going to germinate inside the ripples or just on the edges of the ripples, so I didn't want a ripple pattern of grass all the way down. So, okay, I'm gonna go inside before I get too wet, and we'll be back tomorrow, hopefully putting out more seed. I'm the most indecisive person. I say I'm not gonna do it, and then I do it. So before I went in, I decided to rake the front yard, make sure that that was good too. And then when I got done, I decided to put down seed. And I'm like, well, I'm doing that, so I might as well come back and put down the seed now, because it's starting to rain again. So I'm taking advantage of that free water, that free natural water, which brings in nitrogen, which your regular tap water is not really going to have that. So when that natural rain brings in nitrogen, it's going to be your natural fertilizer, natural starter for that grass to grow. So hopefully this is going to take, and we'll check back on this in a couple days, maybe even tomorrow if I get bored. All right, it is Sunday morning, and just kind of giving another 24-hour update from the last day. From Saturday, I can see there's already a pretty good difference. There's more of a haze, and this area out here doesn't have as much. And I'm thinking, so my sprinklers, which are out there, and one's over there. So I've got as much flow as I possibly can on the sprinkler and the biggest diameter hose pipe that I can, and it's still not throwing the water out this far. So you can see it like stops about here, and then most of this from the sewer hole to there gets plenty of water. So this part's going to take longer. There's still germination, but it's not as much. Super green that way. Doing as much as I can. And then my neighbors over there who I helped, we've got germination coming on over there as well. So we redid that whole patch. He's already got fescue, so we kind of overseeded and then seeded more heavily over there. But it's looking good. So I'm gonna wait another week. Again, still cloudy weather. And we've got some sunlight coming. So hopefully that will energize what we've got here. And then by next week, this should be established enough, and we'll finally put out some starter fertilizer. So I use Milorganite, and I also use this stuff, the Dirt Booster Plus, as kind of like my pre-seeding type fertilizer, just to give the dirt really good nutrients to go, and then energize it to want to grow. Everything here is what helps the seed take up the nutrients, and once it's growing, and next week, once this is a little bit more established, I think that's when it's going to be time to put down some real starter fertilizer, which I've got ready, and that's got tenacity built in, so it'll be good for weeds. Alright, so we are going to close up this video. Next week we are hoping to see some real growth in our grass and our turf type tall fescue, which is a GCI turf type tall fescue from Pete's Blend, and I'm very excited to see that come up. Going from kind of what I had before was a hodgepodge of a bunch of different types of grasses. So I want to recap what we've done so far. Some of it might not have been recorded, but I'll kind of let you know what I've done. So we started out doing an aerator. Make sure I say that right. Aerator. We started out doing an aerator, which is what pokes holes into the yard. And a good way of testing whether or not you really need that is take one of your screwdrivers and punch it into the hole. If it goes in easily, then your soil is not as compacted, and you probably don't really need an aerator. You can just kind of rough up your soil and make sure the seed is in there. But if you're putting a screwdriver into the soil and it fights you and you can't really push it in as deep, then yeah, you need to open up some cores, some holes for that new soil to kind of go into and loosen it up. So that allows oxygen, that allows the water to flow into that hole, and to kind of decompact that soil so that the roots and nutrients can really spread a lot easier. Because if it's going to have compacted soil, then roots are not, it's going to hit that compacted side and it's going to find a different direction. So plants like to go the path of least resistance. So if you've got compacted area, you're usually going to find those areas don't really have any kind of vegetation. Weeds probably, because the roots are probably not as deep and they're just living on that top part. But grass that needs deeper roots, they're really not going to go that way. So the weeds are always going to win in a compacted area. Or if you've got rocks underneath that, you want to make sure that the rocks are pulled up and taken away and replaced with good soil. The next thing that we did here is it was time for us to put out the seed. So again, I did the GCI turf type tall fescue, and I put it out. I think I put it out the first go around about 9 pounds per 1,000 square feet. I wanted to make sure that I had a little bit of extra seed left over, just in case if I had washout, then I would be able to overseed in those sections. I had no idea. I knew we were getting rain, but I had no idea the amount of rain that we were going to be getting. Hurricanes don't really get to Middle Tennessee that much. It's usually hitting the east or the west, but the middle, usually that does not happen. I mean, we've had some pretty big floods in the past, but those are really rare. It seems like we've got a break in the clouds right now, and I am feeling the heat for the first time in a long time, probably the day that I was putting the seed out, which was a week ago. It's been super cloudy and no sun whatsoever, so that's good. That's actually going to help energize the seed that I've put down, that I've now put out a little bit of baby grass, and that baby grass is going to take in the sunlight and start the photosynthesis process to really help it grow even more. And at the point, hopefully next week or the week after, start tillering and spreading out. Because GCI turf, this is the type of seed that laterally spreads, so it's got a tillering effect. Anyway, let me go back. I put out the seed with a broadcast spreader. Got that recently new, just because I was putting out 55 pounds or 65 pounds for the front and the back. So I had a lot of seed to put out. I also rented with my aerator. I rented a slit seeder. Now, the normal process of doing a slit seeder, you would put your seed in the box that's in the front, set your depth, or sometimes you can set your depth, and then you can set how many pounds per 1,000 square feet you want to release. And it rolls and kind of lets that seed drop into the slits that it's creating in the yard. I didn't go that route. I didn't use the box in the front to put my seed. I used the slit seeder just to cut the grooves. So after I manually put out the seed, I came back with the slit seeder and used that to blend and actually bury the seed that I had. That helped out, I think, way more than if I used the slit seeder for the purpose that it really is, because before I used the slit seeder, I could see where my seed was falling with the broadcast seeder. I could tell, like, hey, I'm missing some on this edge, I'm missing some in this whole area. Maybe I did a turn somewhere and the seed didn't fall out, and maybe it was too much in an area, and I was able to kind of brush that out and kind of spread out the seed. But when you're doing a slit seeder, it's falling into those cracks and you have no idea really like how much seed you're putting out. You just kind of have to trust the process and hope that you're doing it right, and following your pattern in your yard correctly, because you might do too much of a wide turn and then you've got a section where you missed, didn't cover with that slit seeder. So I followed Pete's process that I've seen in his videos 4 years ago, and he did another one 2 years ago, where he put it out manually and then used the slit seeder just to bury it. So I'm excited to see what this looks like next week. We don't have any rain in the forecast. There's some 30% chance, but here in Tennessee, when that's 30%, it usually doesn't rain. Sometimes even when it's 50%, like it can be raining like right over there. I can see it, but it doesn't touch this area. It's weird in Tennessee. I don't know. So less rain, that's great. Yard's got a full start of all that water. So the time I didn't have to pre-germinate the grass completely, that hurricane did the rest of it for me. So now I can cut back on my watering and probably water once or twice a day instead of 4 times a day. So that hurricane did me a favor and saved me a big water bill. I had to come out and break up the yard because there was a lot of ripples, wavy ripples from the heavy rain that we got. And you can see the yard now is a lot cleaner. Let me kind of pan around a little bit. But yeah, so I raked all that up, made sure that the soil is a lot more level, because I didn't want that to grow in waves. I was afraid that there was going to be too much germination on the edges of those ripples. So I raked all that out, made sure that that was good, and I'm going to continue watering this probably twice a day now, just to help the backyard go for the rest of the day, or help it go for the rest of the germination process. Probably 2 weeks, hopefully. If I don't see enough germination here, I might be ordering more grass seed, but I'm going to trust my process and trust that everything worked out. Give this plenty of time before I add more seed on top, because I don't want to overseed and have it growing too close together and out competing itself. So All right, so now we're to the point of waiting for the sunlight to come and help the photosynthesis for the rest of the grass. And we will check back next week or the week after because I've got some plans coming up. But I will be back hopefully next week for another update video on how it goes. And then maybe in 2 weeks we'll get our first mow. I don't know. So we'll see. Like and subscribe. This is One Halo Lawn, mostly now for the transition zone. We're doing everything turf type tall fescue, and once that bluegrass starts germinating, because it does a sprout and pout, once that's in, hopefully we get more stripes, which I'm probably not going to do any kind of striping until the grass has had 1 full year or enough time to establish. So maybe next spring when it happens, we'll start striping and tighten a little bit low. So, all right, this is One Halo Lawn. Like and subscribe. See ya.